let's see how bad things are in Asia. And a side note here, when you say that you're born in a wrong country, just look at those numbers, especially from Asia. 60% almost from the world population share. So if you count Asia and also some Africa, and you live in a Western world, and you say, oh, you got born in the wrong country, I don't like it here, it could be much worse. So let's start with Asia now. 4.8 billion people, for God's sake. And look at this, 1955 they were 61% of the global share population. Now it's 58.9. So gonna see they're gonna go down a bit, but the high they ever gonna was, I think it was in 1990 with 65% of. So you can imagine 2/3 of the world just from Asia alone, which is quite something. Now, obviously, the growing rate is on the decline trajectory. Pretty much every single one of those countries, especially countries, and also the entire continent. As we're going depth with the entire continent to see how exactly on those continents now the situation it is, and they are going down no matter what they're doing. They are on the global rank still on 1, and they're gonna remain that for quite a while. I think the only one that I can actually cut up with them probably is gonna be Africa, but still Africa, it's a long way, so I don't think they're gonna, in some point, if Asia population going so much down and the African population, they will start going down too, but probably a much slowly rate, depends how things are going in Asia. Probably gonna see some changing in this rank, and Africa is gonna go in the first place and Asia on the second one, but that will be at least in the next century, so I don't think it's going to happen in this one, but who knows. Now, let's look a bit at the future now. 2050, 5.2 billion people. So you're going to see a bit of growing here, but also you're going to see the early change is going to go down and down pretty much with every 5 years. And also the new people that's going to enter the world, the net number is going to be from, let's say this year you're going to have like 30 million new people in Asia. But by 2050, you're going to have 7.7 million new people. So you're going to see a huge decline in net changing in population in Asia. Also the migrants. People, I look at the data now pretty much on every single continent, and I saw the only 2 continents, 3 if you count Oceania, they counted pretty much Australia there. They include Australia and New Zealand, and also a few other tiny nations. But if you look at who's receiving those migrants, most of them are going in North America, predominantly in the United States. Second place I think was in Europe, and like I said, the third place in Australia, that part, but very, very small percentage compared with what North America, especially the United States, receive, and also the Europe. So you're gonna see already which countries, which nations have the best system. So when you see those people just leaving their home and looking for something better than looking in those European and North American countries, you're gonna see a type on here, and that means that even those Europeans, especially even North American also to some extent, but Europeans 100%, they use those migrants to just keep the labor market as low as possible, and they just use them for a cheap labor, and that's it. They don't think they try to save anything or stuff like that. They're just gonna use you for cheap labor. That's how it works here. Now let's look at the median age in Asia in 1955, 20 years old. So not bad, I would say. But by 2050 it's gonna be 40 years old. So we're gonna see a double in a median age in just 100 years, which is quite something. Also, one thing that's quite interesting to me, and I keep an eye on them because I want to see some changes there, especially in the future. Back in 1955, density people per square kilometers was 49 people per square kilometers, but by 2050 it's going to be 170 people. So again, huge changes even here. You think this piece of Asia, it's pretty much livable? No, you're gonna see, especially in China, in this region here, you're gonna see most of the population of Chinese, and you're gonna cram and jam them all together in those small cities. Let's check one. Let's go with this one. Let's go with this one. Yeah, look at this. If you go put people in these cities and pretty much jam them together, that is not a quality life. Doesn't matter if you live in the year 2050 or in the next 3-4 centuries. If you go with this system it's gonna be some problems. Now, fertility rate, that's also something to look at. 1955, 5.85 per woman, which is very, very high, extremely high, I would say. But then they go below replacement in 2020. Once again, pandemic hits again. Anyway, they was on that trajectory. I'm not gonna say just before the pandemic was 4 and after pandemic was under 2. No, they was on that trajectory, but still you're gonna see a clear path. In that it's not the first continent or the first country that we saw that. We saw that pretty much everywhere. So after pandemic, things kind of change, and that's why I'm gonna say in the future it's gonna change even faster than at least anyone projected. But by 2050 they're gonna go down to 182. Once again below replacement, but I think those numbers are not exactly accurate. They're gonna go down probably 1.5, 1.4, around that. I didn't make a video about South Korea, but probably I'm gonna make one. There it's pretty, let's say, horrible in a population department, and I'm saying here in not in degrowth, but more like in how actually they live. And it doesn't matter if it's South Korea or North Korea, they have a different issue, but pretty much the same feeling of life, I would say, or close to that. Let's put it like that. Now with Asia, once again, depends what's happened with those huge big nations like India and China. China already see dropping in population. India's gonna follow pretty quick, and you have some countries there like Pakistan that just keep it up, but again they're gonna go down pretty soon. Especially, I don't think they know exactly how many people are in their countries. I don't think they have documentation for every single one of them, but still they kind of inflate some numbers there. But you're gonna see, I believe, if you in this century, and especially right now, not just right now, even from 10 years ago, if you take a smartphone, a phone, and you put it in someone's hands, and that smartphone have internet connection, you pretty much reduce the fertility rate to from 0 to 1, I would say, in this age. So if you do that just with a smartphone, you can pretty much crush the population, and also with every social media that they have, because people compare themselves with other lives, and they're gonna look back at what they have, and then they're not gonna like it. And it's a big difference also between someone who lives in these huge cities. Let's find one in India. So someone who lives here, which is pretty much a horrible life, I would say. It doesn't matter I would say doesn't matter even how median income you are, or even in some cases even high income, they're gonna have some problem. I'm gonna make a video about suicide rate. That's something interesting that I want to tackle also. And someone who lives, let's say, in a country, remote area, probably that person is gonna have a much better life, because it's gonna be much quiet, I would say. They have that problem with farmers again, but I'm gonna go with saying that if you adjust your expectation for the life, especially for the place that you live, probably you're gonna have a better life. Because look at this, who doesn't want to live in these open areas, which is pretty much you're gonna have the sunlight at least, and who wants to live in those jam cities, which is pretty much strip the humanity away from the beginning of the line of the city, let's say. So yeah, with Asia, the declining trend is pretty much going to sustain themselves like that for a long while, for a long time, especially by the end of the century. I'm going to make those predictions by the end of the century, because after that I'm going to be dead and it's not going to matter for me, and also a lot of things going to change, so it's hard to just track every single one of them. But for this century, I do believe, and they have to go, the population, it would go down, and it's not much, I would say, that any authority can do. Especially I saw someone, it says that Chinese government start implemented all kinds of programs, social programs, to make Chinese people to have kids, to just push up the fertility rate. But it's not gonna work. The socialism things never work. I keep saying that the Nazis tried and it didn't work. So, and they were much more aggressive than every single one of those countries put together. So it's not gonna work. But again, it's not especially a bad thing, especially if you see pretty much in any company, especially from the West, they implemented that AI, then just pretty much start to laying off people by the month. I think a lot of them, they just keep them to not make such a big deal, just not having that huge shift, and they just slowly graduate and they're gonna lay them off. But in reality, probably, like I say, 80 to 90% of those people, they do a job that is not necessary for them to keep them in a company. So they're gonna lay off probably by the next 5 years. You're gonna see a huge changes in that department, but that's another discussion. For Asia, yeah, in the future they're going down, especially in those very industrialized countries. It's gonna go down. I would say how better your internet connection it will be in the area, that area is gonna see some degrowth in population really quickly. That's another measurement I will consider it. It's not a very traditional one, but I will be interested in someone making a study. Let's see how accurate that it is. But yeah, fertility rate is gonna go down. Population is gonna go down by 2050. I will say those numbers again, and I think that are entirely accurate. So probably by 2050 you're gonna see them just swinging back in the other direction. That would be going down. Also, look at this: 1955, 1.5 billion people, and now 4.8. Huge increase in such a short time. And then by 2050, 5.2 billion. It's quite a lot. And by the end of the century, like I said, it's gonna be probably 100% under 4, or around, let's say around 4 billion, but probably under 4 billion. But we will see how that is gonna play off. Now, what you can take from this video now, look at this, how number they still go up. If you live in those part of the Asia, like I say, it depends a lot. Some countries still seem some growing in population, but not for long. The other one who don't see that, just start swinging back in other direction. Well, it's not much I would say that I can do, but if your country is, let's say, half industrialized, you're gonna have some trouble finding even jobs, especially if you get with those. They're gonna implement those AI features, so they can compensate for the loss in population. But I can guarantee you that those good old days jobs is gone, and if you get lucky, if you get some manual labor job, something that is pretty much hard to automate, or something that people are not that willing to do it, like I don't know, being working in a restaurant or stuff like that. So delivery food, who knows, but delivery food is gonna pretty much get automated too. So yeah, if you live in one of those countries, especially in Asia, and also again for those living in the Western Europe that think, oh, I got born in the wrong country, you could be very easily born in Africa or in Asia, and probably it's not gonna like that, because every single one of those people, like I said, no migration, they going, for those who live in the country, not everybody, but those who actually going to migrate, they go in Europe or North America, especially United States of America.